Coco Gauff has been asked about Alex Eala over and over this season, and every single time, her answer says the same thing: this rivalry is bigger than tennis. It started in Dubai, at the Dubai Tennis Championships, when Gauff played Eala in front of a crowd that felt nothing like a normal tour stop. She described it herself, saying it felt like they were in the Philippines, and that it was so much fun to play in front of that crowd. Think about that for a second: the world number 2, one of the biggest names in women's tennis, admitting on record that an opponent's fan base made the match more fun for her, not less. That is not something players usually say about a crowd that's rooting against them. Then came Indian Wells, a WTA 1000 event, where Gauff and Eala met again, this time with what she called a more American-leaning crowd. She didn't get to finish that match, but she made it clear she's looking forward to playing a complete one next time, expecting the same kind of electric atmosphere she felt in Dubai. 2 meetings, 2 wildly different crowds, and Gauff bringing up both unprompted when reporters ask her about Eala. But here's the part that actually matters, the part that turns this into more than just 2 players having good chemistry on court. When Gauff was asked directly about what Eala is bringing to the sport, she didn't hedge. She said the demographic that Eala is bringing to tennis is something all of us benefit from. Her words, not paraphrased hype. She said it once, and then she said it again in a later press conference, almost word for word, because reporters kept asking, and her answer never changed. That consistency is the story. This isn't a one-off compliment Gauff gave once and moved on from. It's a message she keeps repeating on purpose. She went further than just praising the fans. Gauff said she personally gained fans off that Dubai match, fans who came for Eala and left knowing who Coco Gauff is too. That's Gauff openly admitting she is benefiting, personally and directly, from a rival's rise. In a sport where players are usually careful not to give opponents too much credit, that's a notably generous thing to put on the record. Then there's the character piece, which might be the most important thing Gauff said in any of these interviews. She said that what people see from Eala on camera is exactly who she is off camera, that there's no gap between the public version and the real version. Gauff said that's something she genuinely respects, being who you are at all times. Coming from a player who has been under a media microscope since she was 15 years old, that's not a throwaway line. Gauff knows better than almost anyone on tour what it's like to have a persona built around you before you're ready for it, and she's saying Eala isn't performing one. Now let's get into the tennis, because Gauff didn't just talk about Eala as a marketing phenomenon. She broke down her game like a scouting report. She said Eala gets a lot of returns back, comparing her consistency to Jessica Pegula, which is a serious comparison considering Pegula's return game is one of the best on tour. She talked about Eala's demeanor, saying she never saw her get upset, even in moments where she wasn't playing her best or when Gauff herself was hitting good shots against her. No visible frustration, no emotional swings, just composure. Gauff also broke down her movement, saying she's a good mover, who gets to a lot of balls, has good hands, and likes to come forward and close out points at net. That's not vague praise. That's a specific technical read on what makes a player dangerous. And then Gauff said the part that should worry every other player near the top of the rankings. She called Eala a threat, explicitly, to herself and to other players going forward. Not she's good for a young player. Not she has potential. A threat. Right now, that word choice matters, especially from someone who has been at the top of the sport for years and doesn't hand out that kind of respect casually. Zoom out, and you start to see why Gauff keeps bringing this up unprompted. This is happening during a season she's also described as the deepest she's ever seen on the WTA Tour, multiple different Grand Slam winners, the #1 ranking genuinely up for grabs, and no easy matches left anywhere in a draw. Gauff has said flat out that since she started on tour, the depth has only gotten stronger, and that it shows in the stats, in the variety of slam winners, in how competitive every single round has become. Eala's rise fits directly into that picture, a new player pushing her way into a field that Gauff already considers the most competitive it's ever been, while also pulling in a fan base and an atmosphere that's genuinely new to the sport. So when you put it all together, This is Coco Gauff describing 3 separate reasons Alex Eala matters, in her own words, across multiple press conferences, without being fed the answer. The fans and the atmosphere, calling it something the entire tour benefits from. The character, saying there's no difference between who Eala is on camera and off it. And the tennis itself, naming her a threat and comparing her return game to one of the best returners on tour. That's not a rival being polite for a headline. That's one of the best players in the world going out of her way, more than once, to explain exactly why this 19-year-old is important not just for her own career, but for where tennis is headed next.